I'm Richard Clarke. I record these talks every day as a way to deepen my inquiry. Listen each day and deepen your own practice. Welcome. I'm reviewing and commenting on the book Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. Today is from Talk 323, Part 2. Ramana. Now, what is this I thought, the ego? Is it the subject or the object in the scheme of things? Inasmuch as it witnesses all other objects in the waking and dream states, or at any rate we think that it does so, it must be considered to be the subject. On realizing the pure self, however, it will be an object only. Whose is this I thought, the ego? This investigation forms the vichara. I thought and this thought are both emanations from the same light. They are related to Rajoguna and Tamoguna, respectively. In order to have the reflected light pure sattva, free from rajas and tamas, it must shine forth as I, unbroken by this thought. This pure state momentarily intervenes between sleep and waking. If prolonged, it is cosmic consciousness, or even Isvara. This is the only passage to the realization of the self-shining Supreme Being. In this dialogue, the questioner engages in an examination of the nature of the I thought, or ego. Ramana Maharshi's response encapsulates key concepts of Advaita Vedanta, particularly the nature of self-inquiry, vichara, and the dissolution of the ego in the realization of the pure self. Ramana begins by posing the question, is the I thought the subject or the object? The I thought, or ego, is typically perceived as the subject, as it appears to witness all other objects in both the waking and dream states. However, upon realizing the pure self, the ego is known to be an object only. An important discrimination is between the knower and the known, between the subject and the object. The subject knows the object, not the other way around. You are the subject. Objects are physical objects, like a rock or your mother. Objects are also subtle objects, like thoughts and feelings. All these objects are really mental objects. Mental objects are what is known by the mind. As long as you are dealing with mental objects, thoughts, you are in the domain of the mind. This is where the ego idea originates. So, from the point of view of the ordinary mind, the ego is the subject. It's all about the ego. From the point of view of the self, the ego is always known. Otherwise, it would have no effect and no power. So, the ego is just another mental object. The ego is not real. What is real is always, with no beginning or change or end, uncaused. What is this within yourself? To know the real, my teacher said, make your view non-objective. Ramana Maharshi explains that in the ordinary mind, the ego is perceived as the subject, the one who experiences and interacts with the world. It seems to be the primary agent of perception, thought, and action. However, upon realizing, directly knowing the pure self, whether through self-inquiry, vichara, or other spiritual practices, the ego is no longer perceived as the subject, but becomes an object, something known. This is powerful self-knowledge. Ramana introduces vichara, or self-inquiry, into the dialogue. This is investigating the nature of the ego and its origin, and into the I thought itself. Ramana says that both the I thought and the this thought, the imagined subject and object, arise from the same source, which he metaphorically describes as emanations from light. They both rise from the consciousness which you are, the light of consciousness. The I thought is associated with rajas guna, the quality of passion or activity, while the this thought is associated with tamas guna, the quality of darkness or inertia. This thought represents the mental view of objects, phenomena, or experiences. To attain the state of pure consciousness, sattva, free from the influences of passion and inertia, you must transcend the this thought. This is the non-objective view. Ramana describes this state as the uninterrupted experience of I, where the sense of individuality merges into pure awareness. This pure state, which momentarily intervenes between sleep and waking, is characterized by cosmic consciousness, or even the realization of Isvara, the Supreme Being, as your very self. Some people can catch this state as they wake up. If you can, then dwell there longer and get to know it. Maybe you can stay there. Otherwise, you have to get there through practice and self-knowledge. Ramana emphasizes that immersion in this pure state is the pathway to realizing the self-shining Supreme Self. It brings deep self-knowledge. By transcending the ego and abiding in the awareness of the pure self, you experience ultimate liberation from your limited ideas and view of yourself, and realize the underlying unity of existence. Ramana says, in fact, this is the only passage to the realization of the self-shining Supreme Being. This is the only way. The state of pure consciousness, sattva, is the doorway to realization. I live my days now pretty simply, mostly avoiding things that make me excited or dull. This seems to make the sattvic state, the state of peace, more at hand. Meditation and inquiry require the sattvic state. This dialogue highlights Ramana Maharshi's insights into the nature of the ego, the practice of self-inquiry, and the path to spiritual realization. Through vichara and the dissolution of the ego, you are brought to the sattvic state. Here you can awaken to your true nature and attain ultimate liberation. So inquire, know yourself, and be always free and at peace. The book, Who Am I with Comments, is my take on these early teachings of Ramana Maharshi. It's available on Amazon, free to Kindle subscribers. A link is in the video notes. These videos bring Ramana's teachings into your direct experience. Click subscribe to see more. Click thumbs up to like, and send questions and start a dialogue with a comment.